Alright guys, hopefully my camera don't fall. But I said I would make a more in-depth video on the lorcin 380 for you guys, so I'm going to. I saw another video come out by a young gentleman. I don't know his channel name right now, and I don't know his name, but he did a very good video showing what a properly working lorcin could do. Now, I'm going to give you some advice. If you own a lorcin 380 or you're thinking about picking up a lorcin 380, don't listen to everybody, okay? Don't listen to the people, oh, why you got this piece of shit? Save your money. If you're gonna save your money and get a decent firearm, just save your money and do that, okay? The lorcin 380 is the high points grandfather, okay? Most people think it's the 9mm lorcin. No. That gun is a pile of shit waiting to explode. But for the lorcin 380, the best thing you could possibly do, I'm going to say there are about 3 things you can do. Because there's 3 reasons the lorcin jams. Excuse me. The main reason the lorcin jams is its feed ramp. Their feed ramps were not cut to, I would say, the right angle or whatever. They weren't polished correctly, but if you want to fix it, polish it. Polish the fuck out of it. Make it like glass and its action in feeding the ramp into the chamber. That's step 1. Step 2, take the fucking slide off the damn gun and look for any burrs, cracks, or bubbles in the outside of it. Now, once you check the outside of it for bubbles, that's where, and you find something, that's the weak point of your gun. That's where it's going to give out. That's where it's going to crack. That's where it's going to explode. If you have any bubbles, get a new slide. If you don't have any bubbles, what you need to do, if you cannot chrome dip the entire slide, inside and out, what you need to do is get you, I want to say, 1,000 grit sandpaper will take you a long time. I would try to go 950. 950 is like the Goldilocks area of material removable and polishing for this specific weapon. Not every specific weapon, just this one. Get you some 950, 1,000 if you can, because 1,000 is more easier to find, but 950 is the best for taking down the metal. Take the bottom of the slide, the inside of the slide, not the barrel part, but the drop pin, okay? The firing pin, and not a lot, but just to where you can see it's smooth, okay? Then do the same thing for the sides, the inner sides, not the lower inner side where it rides along the thing, because you don't want to fuck with that. Trust me, take off too much metal off that shit, it'll basically do one of these, and then come off. You don't want to do that, okay? Just basically, I would say, if you're looking at the slide, if you take your slide off and you're looking at it and you see not the side grooves that hold it on to the rail, but the groove that's in the middle. So basically, this is the side grooves. I'm not giving y'all the finger. This is basically the side grooves, and then up on top of it, you'll see 2 more grooves that are flat like that. Sand the bottom parts of these grooves. Not a lot. Like I said, you don't want to take off too much metal, but just enough to where it's a smooth action. Okay, you want it to basically just glide, just glide across it. You kind of want it to be like glass, but then again, it's a lorcin, so you don't want to take off too much metal, like I say. That's the second thing to do. So after you polish your feed ramp, that's number 1. Then you clean and polish the bottom side of the slide if you cannot chrome plate the whole thing. All right? third is make sure the extractor has enough meat on it to where it's constantly grabbing the motherfucking round. Because if it doesn't, if that nipple on the end of the extractor is worn off, you'll repeated firing from that firearm will not allow it to basically function properly. It'll just, so if this is your round, it'll just slip off, and then you'll have a double feed. So you'll have basically the round of fire, and the blowback will send the slide back, and you'll try to push up another round, and you'll have a double feed because the casing you just fired wasn't able to come out of the hole. All right. Also, when it comes to the extractor, don't change them. Unless you have to, don't change them out. If you have to change them, I would really just tell you to get a new slide. Just get a new slide. A slide with it in there. Now, number 4, it's all about the bag. Ooh, excuse me. It's all about this motherfucking mag. Take the spring, take the bottom part off, let the spring come out, and take the spring and bend the front of the spring, this section, not this section, and just take some pliers, both sides, so they grab both, because you don't want to do it individually, otherwise you'll have side feet, the base, it'll push around to the side, push around to the left. You want to have it perfect. This part you want to have perfect, and basically take the whole thing to where it does that. Okay, so this is the main body of the spring on the top. The front end where the rounds sit, basically like this, you want it to feed up, because when it feeds upward, the bullets want to do this. They jump. You saw how it jumped? It jumped. Okay? It jumped. It jumped. This is the last round. You want it to jump. Oh, no, that wasn't the last round. Yeah, that's 5. This is the last one. This is the absolute last round. See how it's pushing up? See how when it's stuck in here and then you start pushing it out, the round wants to, the bottom of it wants to do that. This is the least tension on this spring right now. And as you push it, the front of that plastic, you want this front plastic to basically push this round upward like that. Because when you don't have that, what'll happen is you'll end up feeding it in and it'll nosedive like that. You don't want it. That's what causes the feed ramp. It could also be your slide. It could also not be your slide, but it could also be this. Okay, it could be the spring in here with not enough upward tension on it to keep that bullet pointed upwards like that. Okay, now this is how you know you did a good job. So that's round number 2. Round number 3 is where it starts to get difficult. If round number 3 you start to feel a little bit more tension on it, that's how you know you did a good job, and it'll do its proper angle. I load these in a very specific way. So you do that. When you got 380, when you're shooting 380, don't just have one round in your mag. Okay, everybody's like, oh, hollows the day, full metal jackets the day. Bitch, I got full metal jackets and hollows, and I got 2 different types of hollows in here, and I will show them to you. Now, pack hollow, old school pack hollow. Look at how much that is. All right, new age Hornady hollow. You see the difference? If you want expansion, go with a pack. If you want reliability, go with Hornady. American Gunner, 95 grain American Gunner is perfect for the lorcin. Okay, and the way these grooves are cut, they're flush. These grooves right here, these crimp grooves are flush. There's no lippage, no nothing. So you have nothing for it to catch on going on its way up the feed ramp. These packs, though, these packs aren't always flush. There's a little bit, you can feel the little bit of a lip. And what I've noticed is that you want to orientate them to where you always have basically a Y. So you see how right here the fucking, if you can, I don't know if y'all can see that, but come on, focus, 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 focus. The crimp, that's what we're gonna call it, the crimp. You want to always have the U on the bottom. This is only for lorcin, but you want to have that U basically facing on the bottom. You want to have that orientation of the U going downwards. And that way, when you always have your orientation of the U going downwards, you don't have to worry about that center groove right there. See, so if you're looking at your, won't focus. Let me get my head out of the way. But basically, you see the lines on there. You don't want that center groove, because that center groove, Zamac, it'll start cutting a groove into it as you shoot multiple rounds. It'll cut a groove into it, and then bad day. Just bad day. You're gonna have a massive jamming problem over time, and nobody wants that. Now, that was 4. 5th thing I can say to do is your ammo selection. Ammo selection in a lorcin is key. I had a buddy buy a 65 grain lorcin. He used 65 grain ammo in his lorcin. Ain't enough power. Nowhere near. There's not enough blowback pressure to consistently cycle the rounds. 90 to 95 grain is perfect. You're not going to find a lot of in-betweens. I have found some 92 grains out there on them old pack ammos, but the best ammo to use for a lorcin is a flat nose full metal jacket. They don't jam at 90 grains. They don't jam at 95 grains. The gun may do a double feed due to the extractor not pulling out the original casing, or you might just have a double feed because, or a dolphin nose. I like to call it a dolphin nose, is when the mag isn't up and you don't, it'll just dolphin nose downwards, and then you have to basically take your finger, put your finger in there, and then the round will come into the next chamber. But even then, if it's only a don't hide, check your weapon. You see it's dolphin nose, stick one finger in that motherfucker, and then slowly let the fucking thing come forward. Otherwise, because you'll end up with basically what the Bryco T380 did, which is just keep going off. You don't want that. Trust me, I've had it happen. You don't want that. Yeah, it's the most scariest thing ever to think that this little thing can go full auto. It can if you don't upkeep it. If your sear's fucked up, it will go full auto on your ass after the full trigger. You'll let go of the trigger and it'll just keep going. It will. Now, the other thing I have noticed with some of these lorcins is that if you look at the trigger pin, the motherfucking trigger pin is missing the fucking shit on one side. You can lose it off the right side. Don't lose it off the left. The right side is basically the balance portion of the pin, but the left side is like a cylinder. It's what that pin sits in. You do not want to lose that fucking that fucking cylinder side of that pin. It will not be a good fucking day. It won't. One more. I'll make it 6. But the actual 6th thing to do, your trigger cam pivot pin in these weapons will back. They will back. You can't use Loctite or thread locker or any amount of grease to get it from not doing that. I've tried. They will do it. So what you do is you find Cobra FS380. It's got the same basically bottom end as a lorcin, but their cam pin slightly longer. Take it and flare the noses. Just flare them just enough. You want it to keep it being able to function and pull your trigger and shit, but flare it on both sides. You'll have to sand it down if you ever have to replace it or take it out, because it's just gonna have to happen. But in all fucking honesty, flare that nose down. Like, you ever seen the back of a motherfucking chisel? You see how it's got like a ball nose on it, basically because it's been flared downwards. That's what you want. You want that, so that way your cam pin doesn't ever back out and you can consistently pull the trigger. Because there has been cases where I have pulled the trigger on this thing at the range and nothing has happened. Racked around, pull the trigger, sear don't move, pin don't drop, gun don't fire. So make sure you got that shit in line. Make sure you flare that motherfucker just enough. Otherwise, it will not go off. The hammer won't drop, and then you gotta fucking figure out how to take your gun apart with a live round in the chamber. That's not fun. I'm telling you this right now. It's not fun. Not in the slightest. Not at all. So if you have to, if that ever happens, what you do, pull the slide back. Take your pinky finger. Put your pinky finger in between the firing pin and the motherfucking primer. Okay? It may hurt. It may be, but it's much fucking better than having a negligent discharge go off with your firearm or your lorcin. You don't want that, because trust me, it's not fun. It's not fun to have the police come to your house and be like, hey, look, I'm sorry, but I got a piece of shit lorcin and the bitch just went off. I've had to explain that shit to the police. And the only reason I got away with it is because, brother, you got a lorcin. They took it, they ran it, they made sure nothing was wrong with it, they made sure it didn't have anything on it, told them where I got it from, told them who I got it from, and they're like, oh, yeah, you're good. They gave it back to me. But you do not want a negligent discharge for any fucking reason. At all. No, it may happen. It may not happen. But for the main thing you need to do is make sure you when you have that failure of the pin not dropping, because the trigger will not set it off, you, again, you pull the slide back, you take your pinky finger, and you put your pinky finger in between the front, the base of the barrel and the firing pin. And then you push your lever in, and then it's going to be difficult because all the springs are on. Okay? When your firing pin spring is activated, it's a bitch to push this bitch out, okay? The only reason I'm pushing on it right now is because, like I'm going to tell you this. I've done the work to this gun, and it will reliably sit chamber in my waistband. I don't have to worry about it going and blowing my fucking dick off, okay? You know why? Because I've done the work to it. I've taken this gun apart 1,000 times, sanded it, cleaned it, lubed it. Best lube you can use for this fucking gun? Brake lube. Swear to God. The shit that comes in the tub, the blue caliper lube, or brake life lube. I prefer brake life lube because it lets me know how dirty it's getting. The blue stuff, it's great for the mag, but brake life, the clear one that comes in the tube container that you can get for AutoZone for $8 fucking is the best lube you could use for this thing. Don't ever use too much. You don't want to be shooting it and then globs of fucking shit come out, because once that lube gets dirty, filled with excess powder, you're going to have a problem with cycling. You're going to have a problem with feeding. You don't want that. You don't. Now, I'll even show y'all what I'm talking about. So, dump mag, it's on. Turn your gun sideways, rounds out, okay? Make sure there's no round in the chamber. Lean gun like that, pull trigger, okay? Now, under the bottom of this, see how clean that is? See how sanded that is? You got to make sure that bitch is clean, sanded, and all the other good, like, it has to be basically fucking perfect for this gun to function properly. Otherwise, it won't. Okay? And I have done copious amounts of work to it, see? So I sanded off just enough material off of this gun to where it'll do this. floating slide. It's a floating slide, so of course it's going to do that. My first round in here was a pack. That's not good. Because, see, I always want my Hornadies first. Now, in taking your weapon, right? Now, what I'm talking about is, you see that? This is so heavy. I put a heavier, it's so heavy. Inside there, inside the feed, I don't know if y'all going to be able to see that, but inside that feed ramp down there is polished like a motherfucker, okay? I have a little bit of lippage on the top left side that allows for bottle nosing, but that's the only way. That's the only way I end up with fucking ram jams in this motherfucker. Because that's basically what I call them. I call them ram jams because the back of the slide wants to ram the bullet in, but the bullet's at the wrong angle, so it won't. Now, when cocking your firearm like this, okay, you don't want to just let the thing, you don't want to just pow, let it go. Don't do that, okay? Now, y'all heard that? You heard how smooth that was? That's how smooth you want it to be in order to function. Because if it ain't that smooth, when you get into a fucking shitty situation, it won't act like that. Okay? Now it's back to the way it was. So, the best thing you fuckers can do is basically make sure your shit runs smooth as glass every single time. Get that slide and feed ramp to move like glass. Otherwise, it's just a bad day waiting to happen, okay? Now, I love y'all. If y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns, put them in the comments, and I swear to God, I'll answer every single one I can, okay? If you have a lorcin and you're wondering what's going on with it, why it's doing this, shit, I'll even fucking get on a fucking Snapchat call, Instagram call, Facebook Messenger call with y'all, and I will do my best to help y'all over the phone with your lorcin. But that's the end of this video, guys. Like it, don't like it, subscribe, don't subscribe. I don't give a fuck. I don't use this video. This channel ain't for fucking fun. This channel ain't for money. This channel is to inform y'all that if you got a fucking $75, shit, I've seen them low as 30 bucks. You want to make it reliable self-defense weapon, this is how you do it. Have a good night, folks.